Mr. Anup Singh, what is your or the IMF's latest projection of the economic growth in Asia and also in the ASEAN region in particular?
Well, we did our predictions in January. We are now updating them. Asia doing very well. Asia as a whole, the growth is about 6. Emerging Asia is around 7. And as you know, China and India are 7 to 8. So Asia doing strong. What's most important is it's helping the global growth, it's providing more of a stimulus to the global economy. It's very important coming from Asia.
How about the ASEAN region in which Thailand is strategically located?
Absolutely, and ASEAN is doing well. ASEAN, we expected in January when we did our update, the ASEAN as a group will grow by at least 5% this year. Now, as you know, ASEAN comprises of different economies. Now, certainly Thailand here, that is recovering from the awful floods of last year. The growth this year should be well above 5, probably 5.5. Indonesia, that has a stronger domestic demand component to its growth, should grow above 6. Some other economies that are more dependent on the global trade, such as Malaysia and Singapore, these will grow below 5. So you have a balance, but as a group, it should be around 5, which is reasonable compared to where the rest of the world is.
Thailand has been affected by the floods since last year. Are you optimistic, of the pace of the recovery in this country?
We had a team here a few weeks ago. They are writing a report. I think from all accounts, we agree with the Bank of Thailand. We're probably looking at a strong V-shaped recovery. We do expect growth this year to be well above 5, closer to 5.5. It's going to be a strong period. It's going to be a good recovery, a V-shaped recovery for Thailand.
Are you going to express any caution about the government's plan for massive fiscal spending, in the aftermath of the floods?
Well, our team has had very good discussions, but the main point I would say is the outlook looks good for Thailand. I think inflation is under control, growth is coming back, the outlook looks promising.
From your comment, you are quite optimistic about Asia. But then looking at Europe, the crisis is still reeling on, and also we have economic weakness in the US over the past year. So how is that possible that Asia is growing? Is it going to decouple, from Europe and the United States?
This is a very important point you've raised. I discussed it this morning at the conference I'm at. I tried to show that in many parts of Asia, the contribution from external demand, from exports, has come down because what you said of advanced economies in the US and Europe, but also it is the case that the contribution to growth within Asia from domestic sources is building up. And I think that is the challenge for Asia in the coming years. How do you get more dependent on domestic demand, investment in some countries, consumption in some countries, less dependent on advanced economies? That is the challenge for Asia, because Asia remains, many countries, heavily reliant on demand from other countries, the advanced economies.
For some countries, which would like to depend on domestic consumption or domestic demand to drive the growth, it might run into bubbles or overheatings. Say like in the case of China, which has been experienced some overheating in the real estate sector. Are you concerned about the overheating in some economies, particularly China?
Let me say about China. You're right in saying what China needs to do. This is well recognized by the Chinese leaders. They need to build up domestic consumption as the growth engine for China. You're right in saying that property prices in particular have been a question in China. What we do see in recent months is that because of the measures the government has taken, property prices have moderated and stabilized. And I would say the challenges from property prices are being seriously addressed in China, and these have now stabilized. But you're right in saying, as you look ahead, Asia has been very good in being cautious about the growth inflation trade-off. And Asia realizes we need to build up a new growth model. At the same time, Asia knows that is very important also for income inequalities to keep inflation well under control.